Hey, how you doing, Dr. Stan? How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored, just like you.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Where are you located?
Just north of Dallas, Texas.
Perfect.
It's cold, believe it or not, man. It's like for Dallas, matter of fact, it's like 20. It was 11 degrees earlier today, and it's like 20 now. So that's like crazy. Like these people don't, there's a little teeny bit of stuff. Everybody's school canceled. I was like, I'm from Pennsylvania originally. It's like, dude, we used to go 2 foot of snow. We're going.
I'm in PA and born and bred. Where are you? Where are you from originally?
Harrisburg.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah, my kids live in York, and then I travel between York and Philadelphia. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I used to fight in a lot of tournaments in York, man.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Yeah. So were you in MMA, boxing, or which? Yeah.
Traditional martial arts.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, there's a whole world out here of central Pennsylvania with that people don't realize. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't know if this gonna be like a Zoom, so I was like, man, it might have been. Let me show you. Let's see here. I don't know if I could. See, I'm usually out here when they can see the background. See that?
Oh, there it is. Nice.
Yeah, we got all kind of stuff there, man. So, yeah, that's usually my background, but I wasn't sure, so I was like, let me just stay in my office here.
No, you're good. You're good.
A bunch more down here and a whole bunch in the garage. Gave a bunch away and a bunch in boxes. My wife's like, baby, enough is enough.
I live a very minimalistic life. So when I saw that, it's like my kid, I have a 13 and a 14-year-old, and the other weekend we were at my parents' house, and my dad was pulling out all the old trophies and stuff like that, and I had forgotten about all that stuff. Yeah, it was like, man, you start pulling those boxes out. It's awesome.
Wow, there he is, the man.
Clifford, you connected all the way in Arizona. You connected 2 people from PA, man. he used to live about 30 minutes from me.
Yeah, man. Harris. I used to say during the millennium I could rule and reign. Harris from Harrisburg, you know. And
so it's Nate Fochtman, host of FreeMind Network podcast. And go ahead, Dr. Stan.
Dr. Stan Harris, aka Dr. Breakthrough with Dr. Breakthrough LLC.
Perfect.
Clifford Starks, Starks Enterprises, and Fearless Promotions.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, I will, Clifford, this is your guest, so I'll let you do introductions of Dr. Stan. And Dr. Stan, just so you know, we are very authentic and organic. There is no questions at all. So this is a 60-minute, completely natural conversation to the point where I know nothing about you either. So I'm going to learn about you as I ask questions, and we'll go from there. So you can go ahead, Clifford, and take it away with your intros.
All right, Dr. Stan, a.k.a. Dr. Breakthrough, the man with the plan. He is, there's not enough I can say about this individual because I got to read his book. He's a biblical individual. He's an absolute powerhouse. Talk about a nurture sequence. This guy makes you feel amazing. Like you can run through a brick wall. And ultimately I go, is this game really just in our mind? And it 100% is every single time, whether that's getting the right tools, the right resources, the right support. And when you lead effectively, everything that you need is right in front of you all the time. But if you can't see it, you can't see it. So he helps you see those things so that you can effectively utilize your life and live the life that you want to live.
Awesome. That's perfect. Well, I'm interested. I do have your website up on my screen right now, and I love what you're doing and what you have going on here. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is that resilience and that mindset. So I guess I'll start it off. Dr. Stan, tell us a little bit about what that means to you. And obviously, I want to also add another layer because we do sometimes get in motivational and leadership and coaching, but I'm going to be very transparent. I'm an agnostic as far as organized religion goes, but I want to talk more about how you structure it because of that. And I want more people to see that if there are options that they might not like of where it's secular or agnostic and they want to bring a faith-based system into their motivations and into their life, I am so happy that you're here because while I am agnostic, I do want everybody to be on this platform. So I'm very excited to have a faith-based aspect to it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm not a religious person, but I have a relationship with a living God. So, you know, so it just affects every area of my life. But when you talk about resilience, you know, I have to think about, you know, as a 3-year-old boy, my dad left, never called, never sent mom a dime. When I was 6 years of age, I was out in the middle of the field playing there in the ghettos of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and a gang of teenagers came my way. Now, you probably sensed before where you said, like, your body gave you a signal, something bad is going to happen. And these guys didn't have smiles on their face. So I figured something, but I was only 6. And I said, man, if I try to run, they could outrun me anyway. And back then, literally, I teach people this lesson. Back then, I was paralyzed by my fear. Instead, I should have been propelled by my fear. If I'd have been propelled by my fear, I probably could have gotten away. I don't know. And a lot of people will never know the heights they could have attained because they'll never even give it a shot. But I was paralyzed by my fear. They grabbed me, beat me up. I mean, imagine a guy hits me. I'm 6 years of age. He punched me in the stomach. Bam! Knocks the air out of me. Like, you know, I'm trying to breathe. I can't breathe, you know. And so, I mean, I'm trying to cry for help, and now I can't even say anything. You know, and they start beating. Again, I'm a 6-year-old boy. They start beating all over me. By the time I can get my breath, I'm crying for help. I'm crying for mom. I'm crying for the police. I'm crying for anything. Anybody, please, you know. And literally, they beat on me to the point where a guy picks me up and slams me on the ground. And then they start stomping on me like I'm an ant or a roach. And literally, I'm bleeding from everywhere you can bleed, every orifice. And you would think that was enough. Because I was only a 6-year-old boy. It only take one teenager to be up a 6-year-old boy. But one of them flipped me on my back, so I'm faced up. They took a great big old bucket of tar. They poured it on my face. They poured it on my body, took a bunch of feathers, literally threw them on me and left me out in the middle of the field to die. But thank God somebody found me, rushed me to the hospital. The tar wasn't hot, but it was thick. So, of course, obviously, I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't open my mouth. And I'm like trying to stick my fingers in my nose so I get some breath, you know, so finally get me taken care of. So make a long story short, I've been through physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, obviously racial abuse, financial abuse, any kind of abuse there is. But I learned that just like in life, when life throws you down, you just got to learn to bounce back up. And the harder life throws you down, if you bounce straight, the higher you bounce back up. And so to me, that's a picture of resilience. Now, I wish you remember way back in the day. Now, Clifford may be a little young for this, but you remember the Super Bowl back in the day? Man, the little Super Bowl. Now, I was looking for one of those, but it's a little thing. But that thing, especially on cement, it goes all over the place, right? And that's a picture of, to me, what resilience is. And so I teach a concept called the breakthrough, is when you bounce back even better. They tell me when you break a bone, if it's reset properly, it grows back even stronger. And so first I was a victim, and then I had to learn to get out of my victim mentality and become a victor. And so now that's what I love teaching people. No matter what a person goes through or is going through or will go through, you can always bounce back. And I'm well reminded of the story of Steve Jobs, who literally got kicked out of his own business. And then years later, they have to bring him back, right? And he took it to become one of the greatest businesses ever. So that's my concept of resilience. And so we're speaking to people today. I tried to commit suicide on 2 occasions before I was over 12 years of age. And I'm so glad I failed. And you probably heard suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So if you're out there, you're contemplating suicide, you're like I was in a hopeless situation. See, you can't see further down the road. But listen, if I'd have taken my life at 12 years of age, I'd have never lived to be able to travel all 50 states and 28 countries. I would never lived to speak to over 3 million people, to be paid as much as $1,000 a minute for $1,000 per minute for speaking. When I used to speak for free, happily, right? I'm still happy now, but I'm even happier now that I get paid. But anyway, that's my story of resilience. Again, I hope that'll encourage and bless somebody here. And I've been down and out, my friend, so many times. The difference between I teach, those who go through my courses, the difference between the master and the beginner is the master, and the grandmaster especially, has failed more times than the student ever thought of attempting.
I'm going to jump in real quick, Clifford, just because you brought up a topic that I don't want it to be the entire conversation, but I want to ask you one thing, because nobody really talks about suicide. And one of the reasons I think as well is it gets kicked into the algorithm and it gets suppressed. So I would like to talk to you specifically about what you just brought up, and I'm going to connect with you immediately. Is that I've been there as well. I've had the I've had the knife out and everything like that in my life at different times. And I want to know from your perspective, and this is going to be heavy for a lot of people. So I'm going to I should have just said trigger warning in the beginning of it, but
and they can handle it.
Exactly. If anybody's been following our show, they know I'm willing to drop it. I drop everything. I want to talk about that in one sense. I want to talk about the emotions and what was going through your head in that moment, because I know for me what it was, and I know for me what made that blade not touch my flesh, and I want to know from your end, what was it for you? Yeah, what was it for you when? And you don't need to go through the details of it. I just gave mine and I shouldn't have, but yeah, what was it that made you pull back?
I was a coward. Hey, I did put the knife, but I put it to my stomach, and I thought I was going to do it nice and slow. I think I got about a half inch at the most, and I was like, that hurts too much. And so it's a little funny now, but seriously, back then, my second attempt, I went to the top story of the house, and I thought, once I jump out, I can't change my mind. But I made one mistake. I put my foot on the window ledge rather, and I looked down. Man, I was like, I'll splash the piece. And so I finally talked myself out of it. But that's one of the things a lot of people that contemplate suicide is like a hopeless situation. But if you give yourself enough time, you can talk yourself out of it. Your brain can kick back in. And then I wish I knew what I know now, that I could have called somebody like Clifford, say, Clifford, man, I'm on the edge. I'm ready to go. Is there something to live for? Right. And of course, the fearless fighter, as I read his powerful, young man, fight, you can do it. But, I learned this today. It's crazy. That is a human that's at a point of a breakdown, whatever. They feeling all alone. They just need 8 minutes. The study showed just 8 minutes just of another human being just to make them feel like they're not alone. And so the gentleman I heard speaking about this, his friend, so they now have a signal. It's like, I just need 8. I just need 8, right? So you can't fix everything or correct everything in 8 minutes, but that 8 minutes gives a human an opportunity to feel like there's another human being that identifies and that at least they're not all alone. So I think the feeling of being all alone in a hopeless like situation where you can't see the way out. And I'll never forget one time in the close of this, and this is why I love what I do. I feel like I'm a debtor, and I just been all over the world letting people know I believe in you. Some people say, you don't even know me. I'm like, yeah, folk hate me that don't like me because I'm black or whatever reason. If they can hate me and don't even know me, then I can love you, care for you, believe in you, and don't know you. Hello, somebody. But anyway, well, here's the thing though, and that is just having somebody to believe in you, right? Because I remember being totally at the bottom. I told the guy, look, you know how they say there's light at the end of the tunnel? He said, yes. I said, I don't even see a light, much less a tunnel. And he said, well, listen, then I want you to do this. I believe in you, young man. I believe you'll get through this. So I want you to believe in my belief in you and take my belief like training wheels until your own kicks back in. Man, that's what I needed to hear. And that's why I love doing what I'm doing. That's why I love what Clifford's doing. I love what you're doing, because somebody listening may be right there and they just need to hear something that we just said. So thank you for pausing.
Well, it's also, I mean, for me, it's this, I'll be honest with everybody. I've never shared, this is the first time sharing this, but this podcast is actually what propelled me out of that. I tell people, and that incident was a couple months before I actually met Clifford, and wow. And it's one of those things where it was one of the darkest times of my life, and it was finding what I wanted to live for, and it was me. That was the number one thing, was realizing I needed to live for myself, because if I lived for other people, then I wasn't going to get anywhere. And then secondly, it was my 2 kids, and it was like, I don't want them to have that. But then what really accelerated me going to where I can talk about it openly now, because I don't have those feelings. And I give credit to this podcast, because it's exactly what you just nailed with on the other part. It was realizing in these episodes and in these conversations that so many other people have been in those situations. And the fact is, and the reason I wanted to also stop is I think it's not good for society that our social media is suppressing conversations about suicide.
Right.
And I think that this episode, it won't get suppressed out of the newsfeed, but I'll never be able to monetize it. And that I don't care, because I want more people to know that when you are alone, there are other people who are alone as well. And, or there are other people that are just like you that realize that hate takes up more energy than love.
Yes.
And when you really can get outside of yourself and break that barrier and that bubble and get out there, it doesn't have to lead to money either. It just leads to human connection and brotherhood and camaraderie. I'll need to delete the word brotherhood because it could be a male or female or whatever. I appreciate you elaborating on that because it's something I've been waiting to talk about, to be really honest with you. And I just really needed to have you even just open up so that I could feel comfortable talking about it and people to know that for me, it wasn't something that was in my childhood or in my adolescence. It was something that was a very real thing in adulthood. And that's where I think people need to understand that it doesn't have an age demographic that it targets. It doesn't have a race that it targets, and it doesn't have a gender.
Yep. You know,
I just came with a new word instead of brotherhood, humanhood. Ooh.
I like that. I like that.
I like
All right,
humanhood.
by the way, I told Clifford my middle name is Clifton. You know what I mean?
Yes. Can you tell? Can you tell how amazing he is?
Dude, he got that out of me, and I've been waiting to tell that story. I've been waiting to tell that story since almost a year now.
Wow.
And it's actually it'll be a year and a little bit since that happened. And
I love it.
But I just I thank you so much. I appreciate it because I want one person to hear this conversation.
Well, you said just gonna be authentic, and so appreciate you for being authentic. And by the way, I used to tell people, people who have been hurt tend to hurt people until they get healed. And once they're healed, now people that have been hurt, who've been healed, can now be used to help and heal others. And that's what happens when we share our stories. And if you notice the difference, you switch from you to somebody else. Mm-hmm. We have such a society that's everything's based on us, and we're a small bubble within ourselves. But we start turning our attention also to others. Now it empowers us and gives us, again, something else to live for when we don't feel like we can live just for ourselves, mm-hmm. right? Or we feel like I'm hopeless now. But like you said, when you think of others, I mean, if I'd have stopped back then and just thought about my mom raising 4 boys by herself, you know what I mean? I thinking about what it would have cost her, right? And the harm it would have caused her and the damage it would have caused her. Not to mention, I mean, I've got 8 children now. So I'd have missed out on all kind of stuff, right? But anyway, Clifford, we got to let you talk, bro.
No, I love everything you guys are saying. And there's a saying, the devil speaks fast and God speaks slow. And so taking the time to slow down, just slow down long enough to see something. And what I look at, like the light at the end of the tunnel, I also look at the stars shine brightest in the darkness. So when you're in a dark place, it's like, all right, well, where can you see shine? Is there anywhere that you can see it? Just a little bit. Because once you see a little bit, then you can start taking action. And when you can take action, you can build momentum. And when you build momentum, you'll get results that you didn't even know that you could get.
That's good. Power. Hey, I got to do that. I wasn't planning on this. I don't know if this will work like this. But you said be authentic. You said that to the wrong guy, man. I'm so spontaneous. Hey, by the way, my wife and I are opposites. So I'm super spontaneous. She's super strategic and planned out. Like I'm like the kite all over the place. And she's the string, like big boy, just come on down, right? So she always says to me, baby, just breathe. Just come on, just. So we work well together. We've got strategic spontaneity, right? But my purpose in life is to ignite and reignite a passion of people for life, for love, for the Lord, and for business, right? And so this is a picture of you and I. And oftentimes in life, our light, it's extinguished. And so somebody like me, I come along. And then here's the deal, though. But sometimes, so guess what? So Nate comes along, right? And life just. And so Clifford said, hey, don't worry. But then here's what really happened. Now, Lord, let this work, please. Okay. So Nate, I'll see if I can make a believer out of you with this one. Okay, you're drowning. Right? So there you are trying to float, but you're drowned. And now how do I get that out though? I can't drink it. Let's see here. But anyway, so imagine now pulling that thing out and I can try to light it and it's not going to light. Why? Because the wick is wet, right? And sometimes people, they've been so hurt, they've been so used, they've been so abused, they've been scorned, they've been, that's not even working. Okay, I tried pouring it on. I got a little rag here. I'm like, let me pour some out on the rag. That's not working. So you know what? Y'all can't. Oh, it just got on my lap. But listen, I'm being authentic and spontaneous. And so after coming out of that water, nothing's happening, right? And here's what happens sometimes. They say, Clifford, I'm trying. Nate, I'm trying. And oftentimes in ourselves, we are so messed. So we got to have somebody. Now watch this. But again, the wick is still wet, right? So by myself. So that's why the scripture says 2 are better than 1. Because guess what? Even when I can't, I've been hurt so bad, and but Nate, I want to believe. I want to, Clifford. I want to get back up. I want to, and so I just need that podcast.
Oh my God.
I just need that book. And then
I'm gonna give you credit for the rest of my life, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. I am Dr. Breakthrough trademarked right now. I'm carrying two lighters with me from now on because that was the best representation of the power of human connection I've ever seen.
Hey, and it cost me something. Now it's all wet. But that's okay. We got to be willing to pay the cost, right? But that's one reason I wrote the book, right? To empower people. That's one reason I speak, I travel, I do the things that I do. That's why you guys are doing what you're doing. And that's why I'm glad you listeners are tuning in. By the way, you ought to contact somebody. Somebody needs a message. The content we're talking about right now, and it's great to be able to forward it on to them later on. But if you're live, call them now and say, look, jump on or watch this. Whatever you do, get the message out. We got so much negative stuff that's going viral. We need some positive things that'll go viral, and some things that are actually, the greatest book ever written says death and life are in the power of the tongue. I always thought, well, why does it say death first? Because it's easier to speak death. It's easier to tell people what they're not and who they haven't been. Well, blah, blah, blah. You ain't this and you ain't that. You haven't this and you haven't that. It takes being on purpose, being strategic, the catch, like I used to do my children, catch them doing something good and brag on them over. And the more you do that, the more they start looking to do something else good so you can brag on them, right? And so I raised my children without this being afraid of dad going to hit them, or mom going to whoop them. It's like, what can I do to make them happy so I can, right? And that's what I want to do in life. But I'm saying there's so many people, they never hear encouraging words. And if they do it, somebody that's trying to take advantage of them, trying to use flattery as opposed to proper praise and giving them credit for something. And I'll tell you this, and I'll go back to you guys, because I used to live like this, man. Like somebody would give me a compliment, I'm like, no. But then somebody criticized me, I would internalize it. Now I felt myself like all down and discouraged and literally depressed. I was in a state of depression. And can we have some fun? If you take the word depression and rearrange the words, instead of depression, it now spells I press on. Oh, come on, somebody. Okay. I'm getting excited on the talk. Hey, I need to copy this one. But anyway, hey, listen. No, seriously. I'm saying, so right now you might be in depression, but the same words that spell depression, if you rearrange them, it now says I press on. That's what Nate did. You can do the same. I press on in spite of my depression. That's what Clifford did. You can do the same. See, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. If care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. Many a struggler turns about. When they might have won it, they stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the cloud of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. Victory may be near, though it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you just mustn't quit. That's why Nate's here. He didn't quit. That's why Clifford's here. See, you think because we're on the camera that we haven't had tough times. You think we were born with a silver spoon in our mouth. And I come to tell you, no, maybe you've been through some things worse than us, but I'm telling you, somebody somewhere, here's one of the things I learned, and I wrote about in my book, Your Breakthrough is Guaranteed, 7 Simple Steps to Your Success. Somewhere, one of the facts, somewhere, somehow, some way, somebody's been worse off, worse situation, worse victimization, and yet they've come out a lot better than we are. So if they can, we can. I got to be quiet. Stop.
No, you're good. That is no, that, I don't even know what to say. Like I just the energy and the enthusiasm, but also
I know what to say. I know what to say.
Go for it. Go for it.
Dr. Breakthrough, we're gonna have you back, sir.
All right, I had to study up to find out some more to say.
I tell you, yeah, it's like I can see exactly why you guys connected. I mean, it's like I can see you on the pulpit getting me going on a Sunday. I can see you in the octagon getting me going into the middle. I can see you on the rail trail running me down when I need to finish that last mile. Holy hell, man.
Now, we say holy heaven, but by the way,
yes.
By the way, when I was in competition, they said, man, he's the nicest guy you ever want to meet in the world, but if you get him in the ring, he'll try to kill you.
That was me. That was me. That's probably Clifford too.
But by the way, there was something I wrote about called the transfer of aggression. And that is I would hold everything in, right? But then when we went to practice, I would let it all out. So while everybody else was just hitting the air, I was literally hitting people. So that when I saw them again, there was no frustration. Matter of fact, whenever people like even like on the book, there's 22 inches of bricks I stacked up and broke. When I break bricks, lay on nail, do all the stuff I do, I visualize somebody or something I'm upset about. And when I break those bricks, I've transferred that aggression, I've released it. So now when I see that person or see that situation, there's total calmness. I'm not, you know what I mean? And so, especially for people that have rough situations, you have to do that to be able to literally handle everyday life. Like even when people like cut me off on the road, whatever else, just hold it in, right? I get home, stack me up some boards. Oh, you want to break them? I'm fine. Now, one day I'll get good enough I don't have to break anything, but for right.
I like that, and I like the visualization of that, because it's like, imagine you're hiking or something like that, and let's go with bricks. Let's say you're hiking and you have 12 bricks on your back. Not just get into political 2025 stuff, but the world is a crazy effed up place right now, and all those existential threats. You have to, those are all more bricks. Right. And if you can't go from 12 bricks on your hike and then go to 25 bricks, you're not capable of doing that. So you got to take some of the old bricks out. And I think like between what you're saying and Clifford, I think it was another episode where we talked about Mel Robbins really pushing the let them go theory or let them theory. Those two things, and the let them theory, while she's trademarking it, it's an old theory. It's back in the 4 agreements. I mean, it's been around. It's a stoic phrase. You know what I mean? It's a very stoicism, you know, and stuff like that. But also, I do believe it needs a modernization. So that's why I support what's going on right now, because I didn't do it. And that was honestly, that's one of the things that drove me to that feeling almost a year ago, was the weight. It was the weight of everything. And then that was on the back end. The release is exactly what you're talking about. I began to be okay because my whole life I wanted to be successful, and I wanted everybody to come with me. Whether they wanted to or not, they were coming with me. And then that moment was the overwhelming breakdown of the weight that I was carrying when I didn't even really need to be carrying, because I'm carrying all these people and they're kicking and screaming in the back and making it harder. Well, just let them off on the side of the trail. Like, let them catch a breath, and maybe they'll catch up and maybe they won't, you know?
Well, wait a minute. Now you covered one of the greatest things I teach about a breakthrough. By the way, can I tell your listeners how I got the name Dr. Breakthrough?
Absolutely.
You know, some people are like, who is this guy with these titles? And matter of fact, there's one guy, he sent me a message. He sent me a video, actually. I would have sent it forwarded to you, Clifford. But he's like, man, they said we have Dr. Breakthrough speaking at the meeting. He's like, I'm thinking, who is this guy with all these titles? Who is Dr. Breakthrough? Whatever. And he said, man, you started speaking within 5 minutes. My life was changed by the time you're done. He said, I bought, you know, he bought like 25 copies of just one of my books. He said, because I said, man, if he helped me this much in this little talk. And so he gave him out and so forth. But anyway, he told me about how he put into practice what he read in the book and how he was able, and this guy happened to be a believer, but he said, man, he was able to give us a tithe to his church more than he used to make, right? And I'm like, okay, what part of my book was that you read? But anyway, but seriously though, I was speaking at a place, man, 26, 27 years ago, Howard University. Me and a guy named Willie Jolly. Now today he's Dr. Willie Jolly. Back then it was just Willie Jolly. And he said to me, he said, now Dr. Stan, he said, man, I know you got a doctorate in divinity, PhD in martial arts, a few credits away from a doctor of naturopath, which is helping the body get healthy without medication. He said, but man, branding is everything. He said, you need a brand. He said, I mean, Dr. Stan's okay, but that's not, you need a brand. He said, like, for instance, I watch you speak. He said, man, the way you write things on those bricks like fear, procrastination, and doubt, and you break those things, demonstrating that although they're hard, we could break through them with enough focus. He said, man, the way you speak and explain breakthrough, you do it better than anybody I know. He said, so to me, you're like a person that goes to a doctor and the doctor writes out a prescription and they go and get the prescription filled and follow it and they get better. He said, you're the guy when somebody needs a breakthrough, you're the guy with the prescription. He said, you should be called Dr. Breakthrough. I said, wait a minute, man. I was like, I appreciate that. Those are kind words. I'm not sure that's all the way true, but I promise you, I will live the rest of my life to make sure it is. And it stuck. And so again, in my previous life, again, I would take the compliments, reject them rather, and accept the criticism. And then one day it dawned on me, most people aren't that nice of themselves. You know, again, in my belief system, that was God's touching their heart to say something kind. Because I was praying one day, Lord, I don't understand. Why am I so down? He said, because you accepted the criticism. I sent people to compliment you, to try to encourage you. And you thought, oh, no, you're trying to be humble, right? So now I learned to just thank people, right? Like if you said, like Clifford said, I got to have you back. Or if you said, man, you're one of the best speakers I heard or whatever, I'd say, hey, Nate, thank you for your compliment. I appreciate that. And by the way, if you can spot it, it's because you got it. So you see what I do? I accept it, and then I give them some, right? But I used to like, oh, no, and I was missing out. But now I accept it now. I accept it. And I give them some, hey, thank you for, sometimes I joke around saying, you know what, you're a great judge. You're one of the greatest. I said, no, but serious though, thank you for giving those kind words. That's a gift that you just gave to me. I thank you for that. And so one of the things I teach now is Dr. Breakthrough. One of the greatest lessons for breakthrough that people, because again, I'm not a motivational speaker. I don't have anything against motivation, but motivation is like trying to get the caterpillar move faster. Now we would all agree caterpillars move too slow. They need to move faster. But watch this. Instead of trying to get the caterpillar to move faster, I assist the caterpillar in the cocoon, the dark place, the lonely place, the seemingly impossible to get out of place. And then eventually it breaks out as a beautiful butterfly. So I'm beyond motivation. I use motivation, inspiration, education, and oftentimes the martial arts demonstration to assist a person in breaking through to the next level. See, when I'm done with you, you don't have to keep coming back to me. I'm giving you the formula that you can break through anytime you want. But here's one of the things you got to learn. And you said it best, Nate, without knowing this philosophy, you said it. And that is this. Before you have your, get this now, unbelievable breakthrough, you will have an overwhelming breakdown. Let me say that again. Mm-hmm. See, motivational speakers, they want to try to make you feel good. No. You won't get to feel good after you go through some stuff. In other words, you get to go to heaven after you feel like you've been through hell. Okay, I'm talking about the real place. But anyway, but here's the thing. Unless a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, the good book says, it abideth alone. But if it die, it'll bring forth much fruit, right? So I'm the kind of guy that helps. Hey, acorn, man, I see the potential in you, but guess what? You got to get buried first, bro. You got to get dirty, go down there. And he's like, no, I don't want to go there. No, here we go. Right? But then after a while, up comes this oak tree after a while, and now from the oak tree comes millions of acorns. And so one of the things I often talk about is what I call limiting beliefs, right? If you notice right in the middle of the word beliefs is a 3-letter word. Can you see that? What does that say?
Lie.
And so what I found out, most of what I believed in, I just believed it because I grew up. Now, if you grew up in a good household, a good environment, then you got a little different. I came up in a different kind of environment, and so there's a lot of lies that I embraced. And those lies, because, see, if we think a belief, but if we're in the middle of the word beliefs is a 3-letter word lie, which means most of our beliefs are based on a lie. And if we have beliefs based on a lie, we're living a very limiting lifestyle. If we have lies that we believe in, then we're going to make very limited income. Lies we believe in will have limited influence and so forth. Lies we believe in will live limited victory, right? Very limited. So I had to learn to break through that. I had to learn to question some things. I had to learn to say, hey, is this serving me? And I had to realize, like, for instance, this is Black History Month. I grew up thinking if I wasn't Black, I could be successful. I mean, I grew up in the turbulent 60s, right? And back then, you know, we didn't even have Black history, you know, so I never learned about anybody that looked like, I'll never forget in history class saying, was there anybody look like me that did something worthwhile that wasn't a slave and it wasn't, you know, anti-American? I mean, you know, help me out. So one day I heard a poem that helped set me free and it helped me to break some of the limits. It goes like this, if it's okay for me to give. Fleecy locks and Black complexion, cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in Black and white the same. Rise so tall as to reach the pole to glance at the ocean at a span. I must be measured by my soul. The mind is the standard of a man. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, it's not the color of my skin, the texture of my hair, or the neighborhood I grew up, but rather it's what I put in here that affects this, that determines. And so it's like the little boy, and we're at the fair, and the dad said, what one of those balloons you want? He said, well, I don't want the black one because I want someone that's going to go high. And he said, son, it doesn't have anything to do with the outside color. It's based on how much helium is on the inside. Come on, somebody. And so what I like to do is I like to get some helium inside people and break through the lies. So real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and break this physically. If everybody in the audience, if you'll commit to breaking through psychologically, because the greatest book ever written says you trust in lying words, which cannot profit. See, you keep thinking, well, I can't be successful because I'm this, or because I don't have this degree, I don't have this, or I don't have, and I keep telling people, it's not what you don't have that keeps you from being happy or successful. It's only what you think you need. But what you think you need is other people happy and successful that don't even have that. So you just got to learn to break it through. And by the way, Clifford, for so long, I was fighting for my limiting beliefs. Why? Because most of those we got from people we cared about, right? Or we were young, we weren't old enough to really be, and we like, but this is all I know. It's like, this is what I'm comfortable with. And so I found out I had to learn to break through some of those things, even though there was an emotional attachment to some of those belief systems, right? So I'm going to break this, and it's not going to be comfortable. Nothing gets broken inside your comfort zone. You got to come out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to break this, but I need you to commit. When I break it physically, you need to break it psychologically. Now, there's one little problem here. It's got two big knots. You're not supposed to have two big knots, but hey, Clifford's here to back me up just in case it doesn't work. I'm going to hand it off to Clifford. No, okay, there we go. So again, I don't care what.
I don't have good editing skills, so I can't animate that. So you got to nail it.
All righty. So here we go now. Just again, only thing I'm saying is these lies have been holding you back long enough. It's time to break through it. Will it be easy? No, but here's the key. It will be worth it. All right, so here we go. Ready? Breakthrough time. Yeah!
Oh, snap.
So we just broke the limits right off our beliefs. And when you break the limits off your beliefs, you can now, my friend, have an incredible life. And that's what I'm enjoying now. I had to rearrange the stuff in my mind, right? So I got a whole training called mental self-defense, or MMA. As a matter of fact, Clifford, we'll talk about down the road. Maybe we might do a collaboration on some of this. But my thing is to teach people how to defend yourself against your greatest opponent, which is your undisciplined or subconscious mind. And more than that, how to take your greatest enemy and turn into your greatest ally, right? Because again, when I was suicidal, my own mind was working against me and I was giving into it, right? I almost jumped off that roof. I almost continued to, I stabbed myself a little bit, but you know, I didn't even have to get about a stitch or two, but almost. But it was my own mind telling me, you're no good, you're never amount to be anything, you're not going to be able to get out of this. So again, I tell people my story is your story. When I talk about being beaten and tarred and feathered by that teenage gang, that's a picture of your own brain, the doubt that works against you, the second guessing, the low esteem. Your breakthrough occurs when you beat the bullies on your brain. And so you got to learn to talk to yourself. You got to learn to reprogram your mind. As Clifford and I, we we didn't go to karate lectures, MMA lectures. We went what's called karate practice. Practice means, number one, they told us what to do, then they showed us what to do, and then we had to do it. And watch this. And then we, especially in traditional karate, we had to do it even more after we thought we knew it And then we had to teach somebody else before they would teach us anything else. Are you with me? So here's what I'm saying, my friend. So you got to learn. See, if you think you are beaten, you are. And if you think you dare not, you won't. If you like to win but think you can, it's almost a sense you won't. If you think you will lose, you've already lost. For this powerful truth we find, success begins with a person's will. It's all a state of mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger woman or man. But sooner or later, those who win are those who first think and then know that they can. And Nate and Clifford and I, we know you can. That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're here, my friend. We know you might not believe yet, but I'm telling you, yes, you can. Yes, you can get back up. Yes, you can break through. Yes, you can have a life of success. Yes, you can break through those limiting beliefs. And yes, you can stop beating yourself up and start building yourself up and start telling yourself what you can do instead of what you can't do. All right, I feel like I could take an offering now.
You got me raising the hands back here, man. You're good to go, man. But also it's not just the energy, it's the content of what you're saying. And it's
the biggest thing that I got out of breaking the limiting beliefs, breaking and the caterpillar going into the cocoon, going into the shadow. I think one reason that our society is as torn as it is it's right in front of us, just like our nose is right in front of us, but we can't see that either. We can't see that until we actually have to start putting in the reps, and then we realize, holy crap, hard times are what make really, really hard people. And a hard person can be someone who knows the path and someone who can be kind enough to guide you in the path, and also know that you got to go through the path. My kids have to go through their path. Daddy can't do it for them. But I wish I could. I would be lying if I said anything else. I wish I could. And so when people are saying, we need to do this, we need to do that, at what consequence? At what consequence when we're taking all of the pain away from people? When we're making...
Cliff, real quick. We said, here's why he's always teaching the martial arts. And, if while you practice, you don't want to quit, you haven't really practiced. Let me say it again. If while you practice, you don't want to quit, you haven't really practiced. See, you got to work out until your body says, I had enough, but the will takes over and says, no, you'll keep on. One more kick, one more punch, one more push-up, one more. And that whole discipline thing is what changed my life and set me up for success. Because before then it was just give in to every whim, give in there. And it's like, no, you got to be the captain. You got to be in charge. You got to be in control. And so an undisciplined person will destroy themselves, society, or both. Let me say it again. An undisciplined person cannot and will not learn. They will destroy themselves, society, or both. And the greatest problem we have today is an undisciplined society. People don't discipline what they say to others. They don't discipline what they say to themselves, right? They don't discipline what they think. Listen, if you, man, sometimes crazy thoughts coming out, like, oh, no, change that thing real quick. You know what I mean? You have to. You got to be on purpose. So again, going back to the martial arts principle, if while you practice, you don't want to quit, you haven't really practiced. And so people keep telling me, oh, I'd like to, but that's hard. Okay, that means you're doing it right? That's the difference. That's the difference. When I got in business, it wasn't a struggle to me because I'm used to the struggle. I'm like, okay, struggle means I'm doing it right. So I know on the other side of struggle is success. So let me keep on till I get to that success. And that's what you all were doing with the podcast. And you just keep on and episode after episode after episode. It's like I talk about in this book, you can hit some rocks with a hammer up to 100 times, but then that 101st time, bam, it cracks. So you just got to keep on hitting, just keep on hitting. So don't let your mind say this ain't working on. No, just keep on. And one day, boom, there it is, right?
Yeah. The craziest breakthrough that I've gone through is when you're done, you actually have 40% more left to give. When you are done, you actually have 40% more left to give.
There you go. It's the difference of the governor.
I was reading. I'm reading a book this week. It's Marcus Aurelius Meditations. So it's an old Stoic book and everything like that. I'm a big fan of that era. And I'm not as good at remembering quotes like you guys are. So I have to pull my computer up real quick. But I want to read this quote. Bro. I want to read this quote because I ended up highlighting it and putting it online last night because it just really struck me. And it was just because you've abandoned your hope of becoming a great thinker or a scientist, don't give up attaining freedom, achieving humility, and serving others. And one of the things is that quote, isolated by itself, there's a missing piece to it, and there's an ellipses at the end of it, and it doesn't give what the rest of it is. So I don't know where it came from. But what I do know where it is the elaboration is exactly what we're talking about. And I go back to that. I'm never going to forget about what you just did with those lighters. And it's exactly that. Is when you're burned out, and what we're talking about this entire episode, you're burned out, you're this, you're that, you can lean into humanity and reignite that flame.
Come on.
And I think like it's crazy that you brought this up, and I just read this last night, and I just highlighted it last night, and it's all coming together as what the most distilled aspect is for everybody to understand is overcoming things is not the hard part. It's being accountable and understanding that sometimes you aren't the only answer.
Oh, come on. By the way, that thing still won't light. And so that's why somebody is like this right now. But by the time they're done with this podcast, they're like, whoa, right? And so here's the thing, though. It'll take about a day or two for this to finally dry out and be able to start by itself. But in the meantime, there's no shame. And there's no shame. Like if my car breaks down, if I need to jump, right? I mean, that doesn't normally happen, but if for some reason something's left on, I need to jump. Bro, hey, I need to jump. Clifford, do you mind? I need to jump. And sometimes that's what this podcast is. That's what our information, that's what we are. And all throughout life, we should be understanding there are people. They just need a jump. I mean, some of them, they've given up because they've tried. Now, because I understand it takes about 2 days. If I just keep trying this all day, nothing's going to happen. All day tomorrow, nothing's going to happen. But if I just say, be patient, sit it down, come back a couple of days later and pick that thing up, it's going to light. But in the meantime, I'm going to use Clifford's, or I'm going to go to Nate, right? I'm going to go to this podcast. And this is what you are doing for people. And there's no shame in needing some help for a while. See, that's the problem with our society. That's not a sign of weakness, right? Because guess what? When this one finally dries out, this one might get dropped in. So in other words, that dropping in the water, that's when it's something that's just beyond what we can handle. And we just like, no, right? And I'm so glad that there's people, when I was just ready to just throw in the towel. That's why I've dedicated my life to traveling, speaking, empowering people to break through the barriers that try to hinder them. Because right when you get to that place, you think, man, I'm no good. I'm never going to amount to be anything. Just give it some time. Just give it some time. And in the meantime, connect with somebody else who's on fire.
Yeah. You know, there's so Socrates says, know thyself. Yes. And I go back to that. You got 40% left to give. And that serves me until it doesn't. You know, all of our lessons serve us until they don't. Yes. And one thing I'm like, I can fix this. I can fix everything. I can fix anything. I'm Clifford Starks. I can make this happen. I ended up in a hospital bed for like 10 days.
Hey, bro.
I need to learn a new lesson.
Hey, by the way, I used to travel 320 days a year. I thought I was going to save the road overnight by myself. I mean, I was just fired up, right? I'm just like, and I neglected to take proper care, right? And because of martial arts training, like we just learn to push through stuff. But there's sometimes the bodies give you enough signals and warnings that if you don't listen, the body says, okay, we got to turn the lights off, right? And again, I used to travel 320 days a year. And sometimes I do 5 and 6 demonstrations in a day. Now, when I say demonstration, I'm not talking about like break one board. I'm talking about breaking a bunch of boards, having 10 to 20 people. I would have them punch me in the stomach as hard as they can. And I would just laugh at them, demonstrating how when I was a little kid, when they hit me, my body absorbed the shock and it knocked the air out of me. And now because I've disciplined my and worked out my body, that I could take all these shots and it just bounced right off, right? And I would demonstrate that you can learn to get strong enough to where the thing that right now that's knocking the air out of you in life, you can get strong enough to where it's like hit me again, But in the beginning, though, you get that air knocked out. You're like, I don't want that to happen no more. You kind of shrink back. So you can even shrink back, or you can get stronger. And that's what this is about. Is we're giving you words that can help you to grow stronger. Some things you couldn't handle before, but after you take in consideration what we're saying, after you get good materials and hearing some great things, you get stronger and stronger. And so again, my friend, I would my demonstrations laying on a bed of nails and putting 150 pounds of bricks on my stomach, and a guy taking a sledgehammer and breaking them off while I lay on the nails, and I jump up and preach. They say anything you say, man. Right? Putting cucumbers in the guy's mouth, spitting my nunchucks, and then or blindfolding myself, putting a guy on a table, laying a watermelon across him, right? Taking my razor sharp samurai blindfolded to cut it off, and breaking boards. And then I would speak. So imagine doing that 5 and 6 times in one single day, right? But I was just exalting myself and living off 3 hours sleep because I heard black men are lazy, and I was like, well, I'm black, and I heard preachers are lazy. Well, I'm black and I'm a preacher, so I got to work on it double, But I wasn't really. And my wife could say, slow down, And to her, it didn't resonate with me. I'm like, how long it took me to get to this place, and But I should have listened. I should have slowed down. And so I end up collapsing out of exhaustion, right? And so you're right, Clifford. But again, the key though is this human body we can go beyond some things, but we got to do it wisely, right? So learning. So I didn't understand then that depriving myself of sleep. See, I was eating healthy. I had perfect V cut, right? Looked like but the deal is. It's like putting your car in a shop and letting the mechanic fix it, but pulling it out before the mechanic can fix it. That's what
and even keep it just to the lighter. I mean, it's that entire trust the process of the lighter. There is nothing you're going to do to that wet lighter other than bringing the external flame. You can flick that for 20 hours straight for 3 days in a row, but here's what you can do. Just like your brain, just like your mindset. You have to bring external positive factors in. So if you sit there and you crank and crank and crank and crank, you're going to burn out that little thing. And then when it is dry, it won't light because there's a detachment between the mechanisms. But if you start to, during that process, trust that process and know, let's be calm. Let's realize it's going to take a couple days. Then you can bring a blow dryer in. You can bring a fan in. You can bring different things like that to accelerate it. But know that same action over and over again is going to do nothing but burn it out.
And that also lets you know it's okay to I was taught to be such strong man. I don't need nobody, right? No, it's okay to need people. Now it's not okay to be needy, right? But it's okay to recognize that you could use some help from time to time. That's what I love about you guys doing what you're doing here, is you're giving these words to somebody that they had to have these words today. They had to have some of these lessons today. It's just, it's like life to them. And I'm so glad that they're here to receive it, but it'd be even better if you folks press it and pass it on to someone else as well, because if you were in need, that means somebody else is in need as well. And anyway, I'm so glad to be able to be here with you guys, and I appreciate what you're doing to make a difference in this world. Because again, my friend, there was a time I was so down and out. I thought it was nobody. I thought I'd never amount to be anything. Never, you know what I mean? And so crazy. I was talking to my children. I don't even remember even having dreams when I was so young. I never even had dreams. I was just trying to exist. Like I couldn't even live. I was just trying to exist. And I was so preoccupied with just existing and being down on myself. I'd internalized all this negativity. And there's so many people that live that way today. And that's why I'm so compelled, to every broadcast, everything I can get on, every book I can print, every seminar I can do to help people to understand. I mean, I was just a nobody that God and I helped turn into a somebody. And now I'm trying to tell everybody he can do the same and a whole lot more for anybody.
It's I'll let you guys know, since we're all here. We have other episodes of our thing that we're releasing. I'm rearranging the schedule so that this one is dropped on Friday, because the world needs to hear this conversation right now.
Oh, thank you, man.
Love it.
Perfect. Well, hey,
I knew you were gonna love Dr. Stan, brother.
I can't wait to have you back on again. I can't wait to have you back on.
Well, Nate, I can't wait to come back again, man. I got a whole lot more.
I can tell. I'm looking forward to it, man. Well, hey, we keep these ones under 60 minutes, so I appreciate you guys taking the time today. And Dr. Breakthrough, Dr. Stan, I just cannot express enough. Like, thank you for taking not only just joining this because you know Clifford, but also taking the leap to go on to 60 minutes of a recorded session where you have no idea what's going to come up. And that is a very defining factor that we use as a strong point in all of our shows. Is all of our shows are unscripted intentionally. We want everything to be an organic conversation that comes out. And I try to do more closing and reminding people that this is not what you see on typical podcasts where we had dinner prior and we hung out the hotel lobby for 2 days and then we had an episode. Like we that's not what we do here. So these are real conversations. And in closing, I have a new thing that I'm trying to remember to do is I'm going to be building a Spotify playlist with the answers to this question. So this one's for you, Dr. Breakthrough, and I'll get you next time, Clifford, on this. But 3 songs that you want played at your funeral.
Well, first of all, I'm going to have a homegoing celebration. But 3 songs. Well, how about, wow. So I'm not a big music guy. Now you should ask this to my wife. She'd be yeah, I was so busy working out and doing.
Well, here you go. Actually, here you go. Here's a good one. You know your wife. What 3 songs would she play whenever she's planning your event?
He did it his way. But actually, I would change and say he did it God's way.
There you go.
But I think I would play the song. I would play the song Jesus Loves Me, This I Know.
Excellent.
The Bible tells me so. I would play the song. Oh man, what is it called? You can tell I'm not a music person, right? But oh man, it's right at the tip of my tongue. But anyway, it'll come in a minute. But Jesus loves me, and the next time we talk, we'll have to go through that a little bit. I've grown up feeling like all my life nobody cares. Dad left when I was 3, never came, never called, never sent mom a dime. Society didn't care. They beat me up hard and feathered me, threw me out in the middle of the field. I mean, I could go on and on, physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. So when these people are trying to tell me God loved me, I was like, nah, yeah, come on now. And they showed me this verse, but God, I was like, are y'all serious? Like me? Like nobody cares about me. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? And wow. Anyway, but I used to be this guy with this hard shell. I've been hurt so much in life. I erected this hard shell to try to protect myself. And hearing about the love of God like broke me down. And then my mom, bless her heart, she was raising all these boys, so she was always rough. I'd never heard the words "I love you" ever. But after I received the Lord, and then I told her about the Lord, then I heard those words, and I was so grateful. So yeah, Jesus loves me, this I know. And the other one will come to me, I'm sure. But
that's all right. You're breaking cycles. That's amazing. And so yeah, next time we get together, I wanna Clifford and I can tag team on questions about your life and things like that. And I would love to be able to next time talk about some of those real stories, whatever you're comfortable with. Because I think just like you and I immediately had a connection, I think there's a lot of people that'll connect to those stories and it'll resonate. So thank you guys both so much.
Am I allowed to give you a website real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And show that book one more time if you can, because I got to read that and listen to it. I really like it. It's a great read.
Yeah, Kingdompreneur. So if you go on drbreakthrough.com, just break, BREAK, THROUGH, drbreakthrough.com, they can get the book. And anybody that, if you order the book, just somewhere put that you heard me on this podcast, and I'll have the office send you the audio version, which is $30, but absolutely free of charge when you get the regular book. And of course, your Breakthroughs Guarantees there, and a bunch of other books are there. But then I've got a website real quick. It's called theinternetmentor.com, THE, The Internet Mentor. And there's some free lessons there. You can get some free lessons on the internet. Not some paid stuff, but some free lessons on the internetmentor.com. And one of them you have to get is called The Art of Selling Without Selling, or How to Sell Without Being a Sellout. And it's not about selling things, it's about selling concepts. See, I had to sell myself on the concept. I can succeed. I can be a champion. I can. And of course, I was able to retire many years ago as a heavyweight champion with Karate World Rating System. There's less than 200 10th degree black belts in the world, and I happen to be one of them. And I'm the guy that never even thought I could even learn any of this stuff. So if I can do it, you can do it. Let me teach you. The internetmentor.com.
Excellent. Thank you both. Thank you both for your time. Clifford, do you want to close out with any words of encouragement for everybody as we close out?
Honestly, I just want to say, Dr. Stan, appreciate you always. I consider you a mentor, and I haven't known Dr. Breakthrough, Dr. Stan, for that long, but when you know, you know. And when I connected with him, I'm like, wow, this is not only a star, but a star that keeps burning. And I say that because there's some stars that burn and they flicker out real fast, and that doesn't mean they can't burn again. That doesn't mean they can't get another wick. But what I've seen through Dr. Breakthrough is not only does he burns consistently. That's a powerful thing. And Nate, I appreciate you trusting me and just bringing people on.
Hey, by the way, Clifford, if you can spot it, it's because you got it. Come on now.
Thank you, my bro. Thank you.
And I met me another brother, Nate, the man with the plan, the brother like no other, the master disaster, can't say it no faster. Too strong to be weak, too sweet to be sour. You can't take credit. It's all God's power. Even though you don't believe in him, he believes in you.
No. I do believe. Here, I'll close with this because I do want that. I do want to make sure because I realize I am agnostic, not in an atheist standpoint. Okay. I'm agnostic in a universal standpoint. My belief system, so that everybody understands, because I don't want anybody to be offended. I am one that believes that all of us in various parts of civilization have experienced similar scenarios, and I think that the retelling is a lot of core things that everyone has experienced in various ways. So when you really distill things down, I much more am in this where the core beliefs of everything you've talked about are exactly that. I read the Bible. I carry the Bible with me. I read the Bible because there are very important life lessons and philosophies within the Bible. So I am very much not one of those people that shuns organized religion and then excludes the education of it. I believe that there are core principles there. There's just a couple little tweaks that I don't necessarily resonate with. And then I fill those voids with other key principles from other religions. So I'm really a melting pot of various religions as opposed to an atheist or anything like that.
Well, hey, on this book right here, page number 56, I love it. I love it. True strength is firm and flexible. So I always had that firm part down, but that flexible part, I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? And so, but that was powerful to make you stop and think and realize and recognize. And so thank you, Clifford, for that powerful book. You. And Nate, thank you again for this time. And thank the both of you, man. We got to flow together as brothers.
Yes. That's exactly, dude. Yeah. That was a flow. That was a 50-minute flow, man. That was perfect.
Hey, if I didn't know any better, we practiced or something. Like, how did this happen?
I keep telling Clifford I got to fly out to Arizona to roll around with him a little bit. But next time you get up to Harrisburg, I'll make a little trip over there. So, yeah. Hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you both from the bottom of my heart.
Audience, thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.